All right, welcome everybody. It's Friday. It's Friday, and you know what that means. Yeah, we'll do it again. Why not? Flamingo Friday is upon us. 3, 2, 1. Yo. What's happening? Hope you had a great week. I hope everybody had a great week. I know I'm a little late today. That's my bad. I planned on between 11 and about 12:30 today, and then it became more and more likely that it would be about 12:30. And then my internet or something, Google Chrome, OBS, I don't know what was going on, but had some connectivity issues. But glad we can get them straightened out because we have a lot to talk about. All right, we have a lot to talk about. So make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Some really just crazy news this week, all sorts of stuff, and we're gonna address all of it. Future SEC participants, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk about something going on with the baseball team. We're gonna touch on some baseball a little bit. We're gonna scratch the surface on some baseball, and of course, we're gonna get ready for Arkansas, Mississippi State, and the title of this video, which is talking about the possibility. It seems like the extremely likelihood that Arkansas is going to get Nick Smith Jr. back as early as tomorrow against Mississippi State inside Bud Walton Arena. Not a better way to continue this positive move in a positive direction, right? Not only are you getting things figured out with this basketball team, the Twins are fantastic for Arkansas lately. They were already a pretty decent blocking team, and then you put those two, the Mitchell twins, you get them involved, you start them more. They're both playing more, and look at the difference. I mean, Arkansas, they're just even better around the iron. We got a super chat. Before we get into sponsors, let's read the super chat really quick. This is Aaron Harbison. Aaron, who is a frequent super chatter, by the way. Aaron, always with the super chats. I'm loving you, man. Aaron says, amazing to have Nick back. Can't expect too much these first couple of games. He could be hit or need a couple of games. We will just have to see. Yeah. It is looking, yes, and I know there was Instagram. He said some stuff on live. Thank you, John Doe, for telling me. Very well aware of that. We're going to talk about that. Yeah. Welcome, everyone coming in late. You're coming in a little late. You're like, whoa, what the hell? 12:40. Ty finally went live. Do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe. Please do those things. Let's go into sponsorships here really quick. Direct service overhead. Shout out to DSO. Direct service overhead. Garage door repair company. They are legit. Okay. They offer same-day services, emergency service 24/7, 365 days a year, free estimates, quality parts, affordable outcomes. Give Direct Service Overhead Company, the Garage Door Company, a phone call today at 501-244-3667. Again, that's 501-244-3667 if you need any work done. These guys are the best in the business. Apex Tattoo Studio, located at 201 South 19th Street. Sweet Pea in Rogers, Arkansas. Well, walk-ons are welcome. I was trying to say welcoming walk-ons. Either way, it works either way. But yeah, remember, they were at 615 West Oak. They've moved down a little bit. They're offering discounts on their tap-out sessions. Those appointments are available. If you mention Tuss Talk with Ty, they're going to give you 10% off. Get that sleeve filled out, man. Maybe you want a sick neck tattoo. They've got you taken care of. And then, of course, the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzaria located in South Springdale right here off Emma Street. Good God. Emma Street. They're located off of Emma Street, which is adjacent to Emma Street. Not really. Making that up. But their pies are delicious, and everything they have on tap is fantastic. They have all the local IPAs, or most of them. Go stop by, tell them Ty sent you. Don't know if they're giving out discounts if you tell them Ty sent you, but hey, maybe they'll take even better care of you. They have a great staff working inside the Odd Soul. Again, that's Odd Soul, located on Emma Street, right down the road here from me in South Springdale. Go check them out. Go try. I've had a few of you link or show pictures either some friends of mine that have texted. I've gotten some DM shots of people going inside the Odd Soul. So we've had a couple of people, I believe, message Discord, or at least one I know for sure. So pretty cool. But it's a neat place. It's a neat environment. You should go check it out. All right. What up, Playboy? What's up, John? How you doing, man? It's a party now. John's in the house. Mr. Hawes, who is still a moderator here and wouldn't have it any other way, sir. Thank you for being here. You could probably get a barber to sponsor you. What are you talking about? My hair's fine, bro. What's up with the... Why do you guys care about my hair? I have never seen anything like it before in my life. God. Your hair, Ty. It's your hair. What about it? I've got luscious brown locks. They're hard to contain, Carl Finkbeiner. You know what I can't do? I can't change my last name. That's what I can't do. Meat and potatoes. That's right. You know I'm just playing with you, brother. I'm just playing with you, Carl. Honestly, that's a badass last name. It sounds like a Harry Potter character, though. Really. Speaking of Hogwarts Legacy, if you guys you guys know I'm a nerd and I have totally downloaded that game and have been playing it. Hogwarts Legacy is badass. I'll just come out and say it. It's fun, man. House Slytherin for the win, baby. We got to make sure that you are always fly, Ty. That's right, Ramon, for sure. For sure. Flamingo Friday. That's right. We got it rocking and rolling. Remember, Flamingo Fridays are not a mainstay, but by God, it just felt like when I'm feeling it, and I was today, I'm feeling it. We're gonna throw on the shirt, and we're gonna throw up the little graphic there, the little overlay right here on my screen. Boop. You see that? Oh, where do I put the hand? Right there. There it is. Tuss Talk with Ty, Flamingo Friday. Getting Hogwarts today. Excited to play it, man. It's fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a lot of fun. I'm not gonna talk about all the other controversy and the bullshit around it. The game itself is a lot of fun, man. So, highly recommend people. If you listen, I don't even think you have to be a Harry Potter fan to like the game. It's a lot of fun. So, all right. What do we dive into first here? We've got all the pleasantries out of the way. And, where do we start? Well, let's start off first. Scrolling. Oklahoma and Texas set to join the SEC. The first report that came out was that it wasn't happening. Not until 2025. That they weren't going to get an early exit. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they negotiated down the price of leaving. I don't know, but Oklahoma and Texas have agreed in principle to pay the Big 12 a total of $100 million. So obviously it's $50 million per school to join the SEC in 2024, a year earlier than they had originally attended. The conference announced Thursday night, and this is coming from ESPN. So interesting. I stand by. I don't know how that's good for Arkansas. Not that all of a sudden now you're recruiting in Tulsa and Oklahoma City or Fort Worth, going further west. Not that like all of a sudden now you're just not going to recruit there, but you have beaten out Oklahoma and Texas for recruits. You beat out, Jalen Catalon, who ended up at Texas. You beat out Texas to bring him to the SEC, right? Ketron Jaxon, Texas was all over that kid. You were able to pull him out. I mean, he wanted to come play in the SEC. You look at A.J. Green, you look at Rocket Sanders, you look at some of the players you've pulled out of Oklahoma, and the question would be, if Oklahoma and Texas were in the SEC at the time, does Arkansas still land players like that? You can go all the way back to Felix Jones out of Tulsa. Now all of a sudden maybe you're going to miss out on some of those players who had major impacts on your program. Kind of all those names I just mentioned right out the gate. Actually, when you talk about Rocket and AJ Green, I mean right out the gate, those two had an impact as freshmen. I don't know. I mean, that's it is what it is, right? We don't know. But it does kind of make you wonder. Do you all of a sudden start to maybe, you're not going to tank in Fort Worth, Dallas area, or anywhere around the surrounding areas of that part of Texas, or in Tulsa. Doesn't mean you're going to swing and miss all the time. I just wonder if that makes it a little bit more difficult. Of course it does. Now, Oklahoma and Texas, how much better can they already be in recruiting? They're already two programs that land all kinds of prospects. Obviously, this is a money move for them. They want to get in on that $49 million. Arkansas, all SEC schools are going to get. It's roughly about $49.9 million as a part of their deal with the SEC network. That's going to be their payout. I kind of thought they would break the 50 mil mold, and they did not. But with Oklahoma and Texas joining in 2024, who knows what those buyouts are going to look, or what those, sorry, not buyouts, what those handouts, that's not the right word either. The money given to each school, who knows what that's going to look like after those two. I mean, they add a lot of quality to your already really well-established conference in the SEC. I think the argument, though, is that now you've got two more teams, no matter if they're doing pods or whatever they decide to do. Now you got two more teams that on a year-to-year basis you would expect to out-recruit Arkansas and to have the better talent almost always, right? When you're talking about 4- and 5-star, just looking at raw stars and numbers, rank, yeah. And that's the case. That's always been the case for Arkansas. Versus the top half of this conference. There's always teams that in this conference are going to have more talent, but now you're going to add these two. There's just no bye weeks. There's no easy weeks in the SEC. Even when teams are down, they can turn around and they can get an upset, or they can beat someone they're not supposed to, just simply because of the grind that this SEC schedule already is. And there's also rumors they're going to go to 9 conference games. I've been reading that more and more. 9 conference games in the SEC, as much as Nick Saban doesn't want it. You remember Brett Bielema, if I remember right, he fought against the idea of 9 conference games. No one here who's been here long enough really wants to add another conference game. But that's the trend, and that could be the place where the SEC ends up going. It's also going to create. You got to think about think about it from their point of view. There's more opportunities for better matchups, which is going to make for better TV, which is going to make for more money. So I think sooner than later we're going to have 9 games in this league. So again, you see what I'm saying? I don't know how this is better for Arkansas. I just don't. I'm not saying that they don't belong in the SEC. I'm just simply saying that adding Texas and Oklahoma doesn't make things easier. Listen, and it doesn't mean that once they come over, like Arkansas beat the hell out of Texas last year in Fayetteville. I think Arkansas toe-to-toe would do just that against Oklahoma this year. But let's be honest. They're going to bring in more talent. They're going to have the numbers. They're going to have the stars. When I mean numbers, I mean like rank, right? Obviously, they can't have more scholarship players, but yeah. But at the same time, you can also look at it as opportunities, right? Opportunities to show, like, look, you're coming into this conference. Last year, Texas probably wouldn't have won a single game. Oklahoma this year, you can make the argument that would have been shit in this conference. But it's always like looking down the barrel, like could. Is there a chance, though, that really down the road we're looking at this 10 years from now, who's going to have the better records between Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas? A betting man who's not biased towards Arkansas would probably say Oklahoma, then Texas, then Arkansas, right? And that may not be the case. And I'm not saying that. Again, I'm not, I we'll have to wait and see. Sam Pittman, they're coming in at a very interesting time. At that point, who knows what situation Arkansas's in 2024. Who knows what situation they're in. 2023 is interesting for several coaches, especially, I would argue, Drinkowitz at Missouri. What are they going to look like by the time these two teams come in? Now, obviously, Mizzou's in the SEC East. It may not have any well, it's going to impact them to some degree. It's going to impact the entire league. But they may not have to deal with Oklahoma and Texas every year. I hope to God they swap out Mizzou with either Oklahoma or Texas for Arkansas to play. I don't know, because there's you've already got the trophy. I honestly, it wouldn't shock me if they kept this thing going, because the league started that rivalry between Arkansas and Mizzou. So who knows? But Sam Pittman and Drinkowitz are two names. I'm curious what the schools will look like when Texas and Oklahoma join. That's what's fascinating to me. Will Sam still have a job? I mean, look, I don't think it's out. It's not off the table that these moves, he had to make 2 career hires in the same offseason. He had to replace personnel. He had to replace, and you talk about the roster turnover, but they've had to deal with that now 2 years in a row. But defensive coordinator, right? All the new hires there. It looks like they're going to keep Deke Adams on the defensive line. Thank God. And then, of course, having to replace Kendall Briles. Say what you want about Kendall. You knew what you're getting out of Kendall. Now, sometimes the plays are a little bizarre, right? The off-the-wall, bizarre kind of what the hell is he thinking plays, or when they cross the 49, 50-yard line into enemy territory on the other side of the field, sometimes the play calling got a little wonky, but you knew what you were getting. You're going to get an offense that could run the damn football. It could find a way to get down. It could find a way in between the 20s to move the football. Now, if they're behind the 20, you might see a double reverse to Treylon Burks that ended up almost resulting in a really, really catastrophic play, a turnover, or worse yet, defensive touchdown. You guys remember that play? Remember that? You know what I'm talking about. And I think he did that a couple times in his career here as offensive coordinator. But but again, you knew what you were getting between the 21-yard line, between the Arkansas 21-yard line and the opponent's 21-yard line. You knew there was going to be some offense there. It's just you didn't know what was going to happen once you got into the red zone. They still found a way to get 31, 32 points a game. That's vanilla. You don't know. Dan Enos, you feel pretty good about, just in terms of the situation being so similar to when he walked in here in 2015 with Brandon Allen. Although you don't have a Hunter Henry at tight end, I don't know. I think the jury's out on what's happening at the tackle spots. Who's gonna occupy those areas? There's a lot of names, and then of course we don't know what to expect out of these receivers. Man, I keep saying it. We just don't know. I think the ceiling for someone like Tesla is pretty high, but we don't know that, right? That's just me watching his film and going, damn, this kid's an athlete, right? Again, rumored 40-inch vertical and a 4.5 40. I mean, one-handed grabs. Have you seen his one-handed grab, his one-handed catch video? Oh, my God. Yeah. So, we don't know what to expect. And then on the defensive side of the ball, too, you've got a lot of questions there. But I just love the moves they're making over there, man. I do. I like what they're doing with the secondary. I like what they're doing, kind of mixing things up there. I don't know what to expect out of the linebackers just from a coaching standpoint, but you've got Christopher Pupal. We'll see about Jordan Crook. We'll see about Manny Powell. A lot of questions. But they may not put up great numbers. It may take them a couple of years. But saying all that to say, 2024, by the time these two teams come into the SEC, it's going to be fascinating to see if Drinkowitz is still at Mizzou. And I think Pittman will be here, but if he goes 4-8, if he goes 3-9, I don't know, man. I just don't see it. I don't see how you keep him for another year if that happens, especially because you thought you were on an upward trend just this last season in 2022, and then you finished 6-6 on the regular season. That was underperforming. I don't think there's any way you could spin that. You underperformed in 2022, and then to go on a downward trajectory in 2023. I think he could still keep his job at 5 wins. I do, because I can see the university spinning that. And that's what their job is, to spin these things, but it's also their job to make sure they got the right guys in the right place to have success. So, Oklahoma and Texas are coming in. I figured we'd find a way to stretch that out. We still have a lot to talk about, though. But it's going to hurt OU and Texas to have always it's going to hurt. OU and Texas have always out-recruited Arkansas. Yeah, nothing's going to change there. It just makes you wonder if all of a sudden some of those key big-time players that those schools really wanted, if you would have won those head-to-head recruiting bouts, and again, Katron Jackson comes to mind. And again, some of these guys I mentioned, Jalen Catalon, they're not here anymore, but still. Fox had the Big 12 and the Big 10 deal, blah, 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 blah. Texas 24 would have cut Fox out of the picture. Okay, hang on. Let me scroll up here. I hope Nick didn't succumb to pressure and coming back too soon, says Shahid. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Again, we'll get to Nick here in just a second. John says it's not going to hurt. Well, wait. Hold on. I read that wrong. What do you mean it's not going to hurt? It's certainly not going to help Arkansas. I don't know if again, from a recruiting standpoint, no, it's not going to hurt. But again, like I said, you might miss out on some of those. Who knows if you get A.J. Green if Oklahoma's in the SEC? Who knows, right? A bunch of players over the years. 9 conference games is the best thing for everyone now. We need to ban playing D2 schools and ban playing cream puffs in November. I just got to disagree with that. When you're in the SEC, I mean, listen, there's a reason why pro football has preseason football. You don't have that in the SEC. You don't have that in college football. You don't have preseason games, what you call tune-up games. You don't have those. They don't exist. On top of that, you only have 12 regular season games. So, no, I disagree. I think, for number one, financially, some of those schools depend on playing Power 5 schools. They depend on that $800,000, $1 million, 1.5 that they get paid. Some of them, that takes up a lot of their athletic department budget. So I disagree. No, I think you should still schedule those teams, if not for your sake, for theirs as well. I think it's good for college football to have these non-P5. I mean, listen, there have been some, from an Arkansas standpoint, they've been depressing. I get it. But across the college football landscape, there have been some fun, really good, entertaining, and even sometimes downright crazy non-P5 wins over P5 schools. Yeah, it's rare. It's not real common, although at Arkansas lately it's become more common than not. In football, yes, but in every other sport, as long as we keep must, no. Yeah, and I'm looking at that from a football standpoint. That is very true, although I would say don't sleep on Oklahoma and Texas in baseball. You got to remember, there was a while where Texas was like front page of college baseball for a little while between them and like LSU. LSU's going to be good this year. They're going to be really good. They're projected to win the SEC West. I think next up is A&M and then Arkansas. Ooh. Let's see. Kendall would get you 6-6. I think having Burks got him a few extra this previous year. Well, I mean, you went 8-4. And there's a strong argument that some of those losses were not on the offense. Kendall didn't get you 6-6. That's not true. Sam Pittman got you 6-6. His offense puts you in a better place to finish with a better season, at least in 2022 or 2021. Sorry. And at times this year, and yeah, the offense was very. Well, you go back to that Liberty game. Like what was going on? We can argue that KJ, if he was that affected in that game, why was he playing? I mean, because you're risking further injury and losing him the rest of the season. I don't know. I never understood that. I do think he was banged up. I do, and he definitely wasn't 100%. But if he was that banged up, I think Liberty just came in with a good game plan, and Kendall Browse kind of got. I don't know. Well, I don't want to say caught with his hand in the cookie jar, I guess maybe. Is that can we say that? Can we say hand in the cookie jar? I don't know. Whatever. He got exposed against Liberty. I thought Liberty came in with a great plan. Hey Ty, you're one of the few YouTubers I keep you're one of the few YouTubers I keep the ad block off for. Oh, I appreciate that, Sanders. Thanks, man. OU and softball. Oh, man, OU is really good in softball. That's a good point, Richard. How you doing, Richard? Hope you're doing well, my man. DVH has us rolling currently. DVH has always had Arkansas rolling. It's just been better. I'm sure it's a pod system, so talking about the Big 12 or talking about Oklahoma and Texas coming over. We will keep Missouri, but hopefully they don't throw Oklahoma and Texas in. Keep Texas off course. Keep Texas off course, but Ole Miss has quietly become a good rivalry. It's a better rivalry than Arkansas and Missouri, I'll tell you that. Briles is better than Enos. That Maryland offense wasn't as good as any Briles. Man, that's hard to do to compare. But I get it. Like Kendall did have to face defensive, the best talent and the best coaching in this conference from both sides of the ball, but especially on defense. We know the SEC is always stacked on defense in terms of just raw talent. They have it, man. They just do. And I see your point, but I wouldn't throw out that I don't know, Maryland, of course, what does their talent look like compared to Arkansas, right? What's their strength of they're going to lose the strength of schedule battle. They're definitely going to lose that battle, right? They don't have the better strength of schedule than Arkansas, but does Arkansas have more talent to work with, so on and so forth? I don't know. That might be another argument for another day. I've kind of rolled that around in the noggin a little bit. Like, how would you compare the two? Who has the most upside? And I think year one, Kendall at Arkansas should have the most upside because he's not the one having to build KJ Jefferson from the ground up the way that Kendall had to. You can say what you want about Kendall. I thought the job that he did with KJ was phenomenal. Some of that, a lot of it, yeah, it was KJ because KJ's he's a natural athlete. He's a natural, he fits that veer and shoot, that the RPO offense so well, and you got to give him credit, but you also have to give credit to Kendall. Eno's still is going to have his hands full. Like I said, the wide receiver room, we just don't know what to expect. Texas and women's basketball. Hit the like button. Hey, yeah, hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. Thanks, fellas. Oh, you've been sick with bronchitis? Oh, I hate that for you, Richard. Hope you get to feeling better. How do you feel, Richard, about Arkansas and Mississippi State tomorrow? You know what? I need to do a poll here. I'm sorry I didn't do this sooner. Let's do a poll. I mean, I feel like I don't want to get in on the Nick Smith stuff too soon, but I might as well. Let's see. Hang on, we're getting it together here. This is a hard one because we don't know how many minutes. And if he does end up not playing tomorrow, I mean, that's going to be he's playing. Listen, Nick Smith's playing tomorrow. I don't think there's any other way. There you go. There's your poll. Does Nick Smith get 15 plus minutes tomorrow versus Mississippi State? You guys tell me. What do you think? There's no other way to word it. I would say, I would like to give you multiple options, like, but I just do it. Yeah, I'll just do it that way. I'll just do it the old classic yes no. Just do it the old classic yes no. Speaking of football coaches, I do really think the SEC strength and conditioning coach was an issue. They have the most impact on a team at the end of the day because they spend so much time with the team. That's, yeah. At least from what rumors came out after he was let go, it would make sense. Yeah, a lot of drama apparently inside the locker room. And I think they did a really good job of keeping that in-house for as long as they did because we didn't start to hear that stuff until the end of the season. And I could tell you that firsthand. That was not something when going to practice and rubbing elbows and listening to, the people around me at the time. That was never discussed, really. I mean, no one, and if there was any kind of rumor, it was just batted down. Like, no one really, they did a good job of containing that, which is why at first I was a little skeptical. Like, wait, I was there. I was on the ground floor to all that. Like, I was on the sidelines during practice. I got to roam the sidelines, before the football games in Fayetteville. I never heard any of this. And no one else that I had talked to at the time had heard that. And it wasn't until the very end, then more and more came out, and then more media people, oh, yeah, turns out there. And U of A, listen, I'm going to tell you, it's not like the media is given very much access at all. I got to cheer for my team. Well, good luck tomorrow. I'll say that. You're going to have your hands full. Arkansas apparently is red hot. Apparently, they are. They're playing really good. Let's scroll up here. What else we got? We have, Jaxon Wiggins, a little baseball. Jaxon Wiggins, you guys know, a lot of you know if you're college baseball fans. Sadly, the potential ace for the Hogs, Jaxon Wiggins, 2023 season is over before it began. Big blow to Razorback pitching as he's going to have Tommy John surgery. That's a blow. I'm working with, I'm trying to reach out to someone, get them on for next week to talk some baseball. Sometimes schedules are just hard to match up, but next week I'm hoping to have someone on, talk a little bit about Razorback baseball and to get some updates. But this is a blow. I know the bullpen, what I've heard and what I've read is they are deeper this year in the bullpen, but that's a bit of a blow. I mean, this is a guy that was a potential day one ace. He was a potential Friday night ace, and once again, back-to-back years. You had Peyton Pallette last year, and now you've got Wiggins. Jaxon Wiggins. You've got him out for the year, and that's a blow. I'm not willing to say, because last year when this happened to another pitcher, to another potential ace, we were told, well, they're not. I mean, I had people in my comment section, Arkansas's not going to make. They're not going to make the College World Series. Maybe I said that. I'm sure I was a little bit down. I don't know. I don't think I said that. Maybe I did. If I did, I was wrong. They obviously made the College World Series, but I always, with baseball, it's just, man, you just never know. It's hard. That's why preseason baseball to me is even more ridiculous. How often do they get it wrong, even in just their top 10? Seems like every year, because it's just so hard to predict. You never know. You really don't have a good idea of how strong teams are at the plate until they really get going. The same with on the mound and who's coming out of the bullpen. And you just don't know until you really play. And I think we're not going to know much until maybe about 10, 12 games into the season. Obviously not series, games into the season. We may have a decent idea. But even Arkansas, kind of like basketball, has been known to flip the switch halfway through the season and start to get things figured out either on the mound or at the plate or infield defense or the outfield, whatever. It's going to be fascinating to see how they handle this, but it's so sad for Wiggins, man. A lot of expectations for him. Unfortunately, not going to happen. Now, he is a junior. He's a redshirt junior. He has the option of coming back, but I don't know. I'll admit I was one of the Nick Smith naysayers, and I apologize to Nick and his fam for doubting him. I will eat crow and hold this L. Well, again, I like it when people come through and they admit that, hey, I was wrong. I don't recall you doing that here. In fact, Sanders, you might be new here. I don't know that I recognize unless you changed your YouTube name. But thank you for being here, and I hope you subscribed. Obviously, I think you had, because you said you have your ad blocker off for this, so I do appreciate that. But I don't know if you ever said that here or whatever, or maybe you were on Twitter. But I like it when people are like, you know what, I got to hold the L on this. I was wrong. And I try to do the same. If I'm wrong on something, by God, I'm gonna own up to it. I don't know much, but they probably limit Nick Smith to 8 to 10 minutes. Is that just bad luck or a pitching coach pushing too hard? I remember a long time ago reading an article from a guy. He was might have been a college coach or a scout or something, but he was talking about parents ruining, and I'm not saying that this is Wiggins at all. I'm not saying this is Jaxon Wiggins' family at all. I've only ever heard great things about his family. I'm not saying this. I'm not implying this, but just in general, when we hear about this stuff happening, again, this was an article. It might have been SI. It might have been somewhere I read on the ESPN maybe. I don't remember, but they were making the claim that parents kind of, if it's not parents, then little league coaches or coaches in high school, they kind of push these kids too hard, or sometimes the kid's just trying too hard, and sometimes it's just a freak accident, right? I don't know. I don't know enough about pitching to tell you whether or not it's a freak accident or not. I don't know. I never pitched. I couldn't tell you. I think sometimes, and I think in his case, he might have been pushing himself a little too hard. I don't know. Again, I'm not making the claim. I'm not sure. It could have just been a freak accident, which could have been the case. I know the Tommy John surgery too. It seems like more and more likely on the other end of it, people are coming out and pitching as good or better for a short term. Coming out of Tommy John's surgery, there's been pitchers in the major leagues who get the surgery and they come out of it and they're great. That's not always the case, but yeah, I don't know. I think this is probably just a freak accident thing. I've only heard great things about him and his family, and I'm not at all implying that here. I think it was just more likely a freak accident. Must said the season. Let's see. Must said the reason. God, move this mic. Must said the reason Nick stayed back from the road trip. Yeah, so he didn't. Yeah, he didn't go to Kentucky. Right. Yeah, he didn't travel. He wanted to stay back and make sure he was healthy. Yeah. All right. We've covered Jaxon Wiggins. We've covered Oklahoma and Texas coming over. How about 5 Razorbacks getting invited to the 2023 NFL Combine? Jaden Hazelwood, 59 catches, 702 yards, just 3 receiving touchdowns. I'm not going to lie to you. I would have predicted like 6+ for him this year. I'm still surprised he didn't get into the end zone more. 59 catches, though, is not bad. I mean, you could say that worked out for him. You could say that worked out. The things that matter, like scoring, that's where all the great publicity comes from, is when you're able to rack up the tutties. He wasn't able to do that this year, but he was certainly a problem, especially after catching the ball, man. He may not have broke off 50-yard runs, but he was so difficult to tackle after catching the football. Just impressed with him, I thought there was we didn't get the best of Jaden Hazelwood, but we got a lot from him this year, and he really put it all on the line. 59 catches, 702 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think I don't see a lot of places seeing him getting drafted maybe outside of, behind the 5th or 6th round. Matt Landers, which this one kind of surprised me, because Matt was not rumored anywhere that I could find that even had a draft grade for him. Of course, he had the most receiving yards and the most receiving touchdowns with 8 touchdowns, 47 catches, 901 yards. Matt Landers, I guess it's not too surprising when you consider the amount of yardage that he had in the touchdowns, but I tried looking his draft grade up just like a month ago, and I couldn't find anything. There was nothing on him for a draft grade. He had no draft sheet. Maybe it was longer than a month ago. It might have been back in December. But Dalton Wagner, your third one, and this is a guy who graded out at 80 overall according to Pro Football Focus. I think, if I remember correctly, he was the number 1 right tackle in the SEC. Not sure where he gets drafted. We'll see. I mean, a lot of these guys, may actually depend on just more teams getting more access, right, to film and video and watching these guys play. And then guys like Dalton Wagner may actually, if he participates enough in the combine, he could benefit from it. But he graded out really high. Ricky Stromberg, again, according to Pro Football Focus, a top 4 center. I've seen him going anywhere from the 4th round to the 2nd round. Stromberg's going to make some money. I think he's going to do all right. And then, of course, Drew Sanders, who most places outside of maybe Mel Kiper and Todd McShay, there's some other writers at ESPN, I think, that have him somewhere in the 1st round. But most everywhere I've looked, which is CBS Sports, there's an NFL draft. I think it's NFL Draft Buzz or NFL Buzz, whatever. They have really good sheets. I don't know why I haven't bookmarked them yet. But every time I Google up, when I hit the old Google machine looking for draft grades, they're usually one of the top 4 sites, and I always click on them. I just forget to bookmark them. But they have Drew Sanders grade pretty high, and again, most people have him somewhere in the top 20 being drafted. Mel Kiper, most of the season, I think, had Drew Sanders as a 1st-round pick. I don't know what changed his mind. But Drew Sanders led Arkansas in tackles with 103, 9.5 sacks, 5 pass breakups, 1 interception for 13 yards. I could see Sanders slipping. I could see him being taken in the top 15. I mean, his cover grade, according to PFF, is pretty good. It's really good. His pass rush grade is obviously good. I think he's kind of your – I think he's going to make some money at the next level, and I think he's going to be I would gamble to say he's going to be a late 1st round, maybe early 2nd round draft pick. But a lot of people digging them some Drew Sanders. These writers. Yeah, Kevin Kopp's that guy y'all had with the nasty cutter. What about him? Yeah, he's Cops was unbelievable. Pigpen Woo Pig Suey. Thoughts on the number 1 football player going to Kiffin? Wait, who? Who are you talking about? Are you talking about Walker White? So Walker White. Let me pull up this class really quick. Hold up. Hey. I know they're making ground on Braylon Russell, by the way. I'm not saying that he's going to end up at Arkansas, but I know Braylon Russell, sounds like Arkansas actually made his cut. He put out his top, I think it was his top 6, and Arkansas was in there. Where is – hang on. I didn't have this pulled up. Wasn't expecting a recruiting question, so I didn't have any of this pulled up. My God. Well, for whatever reason, I can't get this site. It's not wanting to load. I've been having some issues this morning. I don't know if it's a Google Chrome thing. If I disconnect, then you'll know what I've got something going on, but nothing's wanting to operate. Here, hang on. So you are, I know you're talking about, I thought you were talking about Walker White. Okay. Yeah, Walker White, class of 2024. He is your number one player, but he did not. He's going to Auburn, committed to Auburn. I mean, we knew that much. I don't think it's over. I'll say that. I was going to pull up the whole state of Arkansas. Here we go. Yeah, Braylon Russell's a 4-star. Right now, there's just 4 players ranked in the state of Arkansas. Just 4 players right now ranked. In the month of February, when the new cycle really already began late last year, right? Like that's when you start to see a lot of the next class kids get ranked and filled out, and then by the time February comes along, March, April, you'll see this list fill out. There will be some more names added, but just 4 names right now. But Braylon Russell, I think I think they're in pretty good shape. I mean, I think he could recommit. Charleston Collins, who's a 4-star, he's a defensive lineman who I think is they've got to land this kid, 6'4", about 260. And then TJ Lindsey, edge rusher out of Bryant. Benton and Bryant, how about that? 2 teams who have right next, side by side. All of a sudden, that's an area where talent's just coming out of. It used to be Little Rock, now it's Benton and Bryant. But yeah, Braylon Russell out of Benton. I think you're going to make some ground on. Walker White's disappointing. He's going to Auburn, but I don't think it's over. I don't. I'm not saying that he's for sure not signing with Auburn, but I'll say that I think Arkansas is going to stay on top of him, especially with Dan Enos just getting here. We know he already visited. I'm sure on that visit he may have told him, like, look, at the moment I'm probably going to end up committing to Auburn. I'm sure they're well aware of that, but I don't think Dan Enos is going to let up. So I wouldn't freak out about Walker White yet. If they haven't broken ground on him and or forced, if he hasn't decommitted to Auburn by November of next year, then you're probably all right. He's done. He's going to end up signing with Auburn. We could see. Did you see Sankey? Was it Sankey that made the comment about ending early signing period in December? That's fascinating. I think I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of like December signing period, but hey, if it brings that much more excitement to February, then so be it, right? I went to high school in Benton. They sucked back then. Yeah, my cousins lived down around that area. I've got family down and around outside of Little Rock. Wonder why Arkansas produces better basketball players than football. I mean, yeah, I kind of always have. That's always kind of been the case here. Basketball's just, I don't know. It's a high school basketball state, I think, in those terms. We're talking about recruiting. White is not going to decommit. His brothers didn't have a good time there. Freeze has him with the Christian card. Yeah, that's just you making assumptions, John. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Arkansas is not going to let up. Just because his brother, I'm sure you're talking about his brother who was a walk-on who ended up transferring. That was his decision. Nobody cut him, right? I mean, he was a walk-on. I think the situation's probably a little bit more complicated than that. I think he wants to go and play somewhere. We know that Enos has a reputation for developing quarterbacks, so there is that. What about Hugh Freeze in the Christian card? What about Hugh Freeze in the burner phones, my friend? Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that. Dude, you better get paid by YouTube with all these commercial interruptions. Let's see here. Hazel is a tough receiver. Yeah, I'm excited for him. I think him and Drew Sanders. If you're going to talk about a couple of guys, who's also surprised that Bumper Pool hasn't gotten an offer yet to go to. I'm a little surprised by that. I don't think he's been invited yet to the combine. I think that's like an ongoing process. I don't think it's over with. I think there's some more invites coming out. But Jaden Hazelwood and Drew Sanders are two guys who could absolutely tear it up at the combine. I mean, you got to remember, these guys, they got their stars not only by what they did in games, but also what they did in these events, in these talent events. So they stood out coming out of high school. Talking about Drew Sanders and Jaden Hazelwood, I definitely could see Hazelwood going from a guy no one talks about to maybe getting maybe a little bit of hype behind his name after getting done with the combine. I mean, this is a guy that his film will impress you with his ability to make plays after the catch. I'm not telling you he's going to go drop a 4.3 40, but I think he could probably turn some heads at the combine. I really think that about Drew Sanders. But Drew Sanders, you don't feel like he really needs the NFL combine. I could see him kind of holding out on some of that stuff. White already explained why he chose Auburn. Yeah, he already has. Yeah, he's gone on about that. He went on with Ty Richardson too and talked a little bit. If you guys haven't heard that, go listen. He did a pod with Ty Richardson. I was unaware of that until Austin shared it. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Arkansas is going to stay on top of him. I think they're going to make him a higher priority because they're going to lose out on Hawkins. Hawkins, I don't think, as far as I know, I don't think there's been any communication between Arkansas and Hawkins. Hawkins was a Kendall Briles thing. And I would say right now, at the moment, yeah, I would wager that he maybe sticks with that Auburn commit. But I'm telling you, Arkansas is going to chase after him for sure. What's your prediction for the Hogs' last 7 games of basketball? I think they win at least 5 or less. I don't know. It's kind of changed the landscape that Kentucky win. Kind of did a lot for you. Arkansas, Nick Smith. Let's talk about that really fast. Nick Smith is expected to play tomorrow. I mean, obviously, he's expected to play. He went on. Nick Smith said on Instagram Live with Mekhi Mitchell that he will be playing on Saturday. So, how many minutes? I don't know. There's the poll for you to take. If you think he gets 15-plus minutes, I think he's probably going to be under. I think it might be a situation where he comes in on just a few possessions. I don't know. I put 15 minutes because I don't know. Actually, I probably should have put like 10 or 8. But I could also see a situation where, they really wanted to make sure that he was 100%. Him and his crew, him and his people, him and his people around him, and probably Musselman as well. Really wanted to make sure he was 100%. And if you're not, if he's just going to come out and play 5 minutes, and there's always too the possibility they just, even if he is 100%, they just don't want to put any more added pressure. Someone asked the question earlier: Is this Arkansas rushing him out onto the floor? Is this Nick Smith just so anxious to get on the floor? And that could be it too. And maybe that's why we only see him for a little bit. I don't know. But I could also see a scenario where he comes out, he gets a little hot, he gets warm, right? He's knocking down shots. All of a sudden, he's feeling a little bit more confident. Musselman feels a little bit more confident. Maybe he finds a way to get him some minutes. I probably should have changed that poll to maybe 10 minutes. It wouldn't surprise me either way, but yeah, I'd probably be on the under on that. I'd probably be under. I've also had 2 different conversations with people telling me you're going to be surprised. He's going to go out and he's going to play 20 minutes. I don't see it. I don't see that at all. I think it's going to be a kind of a let's just see how he reacts. Let's see how well he looks. Let's kind of see what we can do. I don't think it could become a chemistry thing, but I don't think it's a move that they're making for chemistry, just to figure out the flow and the formula, of getting him back in rotation. It might be some of that, but I could see where if his minutes on the floor expand, then you could kind of see like what maybe they might do in terms of rotation. I really feel like this is just an introduction game for him. I really feel like he might even be lucky to get 5 minutes. I feel like it's going to be an introductory type of game for him. It's going to be something where, if he feels a little tight, if he's a little bit more cautious, then Musselman just pulls him off the floor. But again, I could also see the other side of the coin there, where he actually finds a way. He has an impact on the game, and you know what? Mississippi State's they're not a bad basketball team. They're kind of in between. I don't know. They're a full step behind Arkansas, and I would have thought that even before the Kentucky game. Although before the Kentucky game, Arkansas really. Hey, listen, I talked about earlier about being wrong. I was wrong. I was dead wrong about Arkansas and Kentucky. I really thought Kentucky was going to find a way to just beat Arkansas, because Arkansas, even though Muss is undefeated there, he's now, 2-0 inside Rupp. I just felt like Arkansas, we just hadn't seen. Let's be real. There's a reason why coming out of that game, everyone's talking about that being the best Arkansas has looked, because it was. On the road, it's the best they've looked, since going back to last year. But so Mississippi State, you're going to want to take them serious. So because of that reason too, you may just go with that same formula that you had last week, and if you throw Nick Smith into the middle of that, it could kind of mess that up. So yeah, I'm on the under. I think he's going to be. I don't know how many minutes. I have no idea, but I needed a poll, so I just threw that out there. I should have put a little bit more thought into it, but Arkansas, I could see him. I could see either way. I could see it going either way. Him finding his groove right out the gate, or them kind of taking it easy with him and him only getting a few minutes. But yeah, he is. I think I'm 99% sure he's going to play tomorrow. I mean, he did say on Instagram, yes, players say things on Instagram all the time. I'm just going to caution you. But even Musselman had this to say.
Yeah, Nick's, he has practiced the last few days with us. Obviously, he did not go on the road trip so that he could continue to stay back here and work on his conditioning. We're optimistic that and hopeful that Nick will be able to play sometime here in the near future.
Oh, there we go. The flip switch did not flip when I flip when Muss. So what I was saying was Muss kind of tips his cap there. If you haven't yet, take the poll. Does Nick Smith get 15 plus minutes? Yeah, I get it, guys. I was muted. Thank you. I appreciate it. Does Nick Smith get 15 plus minutes? I'm a little bit surprised that's not flipped. I'm a little surprised that. Well, actually, I'm surprised it's not about 80%. Yeah, and there's a delay too. So I say he plays 7 minutes, scores 5 with 2 assists. That's not a bad pick, Roger. Could you imagine him getting? I mean, imagine him coming out on the floor and getting 15 minutes. That'd make you feel a hell of a lot better. I mean, you're not even. Our anticipation was the 15th, and you're getting him maybe a few days before that. That's a good feeling. Imagine him going out game 1, getting 15 minutes, but getting a lot of production. Not just 15 empty minutes, but 15 minutes full of production. Boy, that's going to make you feel a hell of a lot better. Mississippi State. So let's go into this matchup. Mississippi State defensively. Pretty good basketball team. Not very many teams score a lot of points. They're very proficient on defense. They're rated top 3 in the SEC in defensive efficiency. It's not bad. They will jump lanes. They're going to try and force turnovers. Arkansas has struggled in this department, right? I mean, even at home, they're still turning the ball over a little more. Mississippi State's going to jump lanes, and someone who is as rusty as Nick Smith might be, that might be another reason why Nick Smith doesn't get a lot of minutes. These guys defensively, I mean, they're going to force turnovers, and it's a little bit worrisome, right? It's a little bit concerning. If you were, I mean, they're the number 1 forced turnover defense in the SEC. They're 2-point defense. They're roughly about top 6, top 7. They don't give up. Like, they're going to fight you around the iron. This is going to be a very interesting matchup. Definitely don't want to sleep on them. You're back on the road against A&M after this game. They're not a good offensive basketball squad. They're really bad. They're bottom in a lot of offensive categories. In fact, their offensive efficiency, they're 5 spots behind Arkansas. And we know how inconsistent Arkansas has been, but their offensive efficiency is 13th. They're next to last. This is one of the worst offensive teams. Effective field goal percentage, they're 13th in the SEC. Offensive rebound, they're kind of they're just behind Arkansas in that category. Arkansas's top 5. They're just right inside the top 8. Arkansas free throw rate, they're 5th in the SEC. Mississippi State 6th. So some similarities there, but overall they're not a good basketball team or offensive basketball team. Defensively, that's where they live and breathe, is forcing turnovers, right? Fast break points and turnovers. That's kind of where they hang their hat. They're going to hang their hat on great defense and just forcing you to turn the ball over. Only 3 teams have scored 70-plus points on Mississippi State this year. That's Tennessee, Bama, and TCU. Steals. Mississippi State is 9th in the country in steals. They average almost 10 steals per game. Their bench production, not so great. They're only averaging about 21 points. Offensive rebounds, they're pretty good. I mean, here's another category. Arkansas's given up a lot of offensive rebounds. They're giving opponents a lot of opportunities on second chance points, or second chance scoring. They're 14th in the country, averaging almost 13 offensive rebounds per game, and they're a top 45 rebounding team. And anytime at this point in the season where you're cracking the top 40, when you're hanging around the top 50, you're pretty solid in that area. You may not be great or elite, but you're pretty solid. They're averaging right dead even at 38 rebounds per game, putting them at 42nd in the country. Again, very, very interesting matchup for Arkansas. Their last, let's see, these 3 games, TCU, South Carolina, and Missouri, these all resulted in wins for them. Smith ended up with 27 points. Let me pull up their where is it? Tolu Smith, he's their guy. Tolu Smith, their offense, well, if they get it going, he's going to be the reason why. 6'11", 245-pound big, plays really well down low. He's 58% in the paint. He's averaging close to double-doubles, right at about 8 rebounds a game. He's got 19 blocks on the season. Tolu Smith, again, he's borderline 7 foot. I think, if I remember right, he's got a really, I mean, obviously being 6'11", he's going to have a long wingspan, but he's going to take up a lot of room. It's going to be a fascinating matchup for Arkansas down low between the Mitchell twins. We'll see what Graham is able to do offensively around the iron. They could play you big underneath. The problem is they're very undersized guards. Guys like Deshaun Davis, who's 6'1", 6'2", about 200 pounds, and Shaquille Moore, who's 6 foot, 6'1". They've got some guards, even guys that kind of come off the bench that they don't have the length. Arkansas's length at guard and between the Mitchell twins, they're such a tough matchup for teams like Kentucky, who was without Wheeler, who was without a true point guard. Arkansas is going to be tough, man. I mean, you're probably going to see. My guess is the Mitchell twins starting once again. We'll see about Council, Devo, and then probably, of course, Anthony Black. Those are going to be your starting 5. But, I mean, Devo, 6'4", long arms, active hands. We know who he is defensively. He's a great player. Anthony Black, a 6'7" guy who can guard. I mean, he's a mismatch. He's a mismatch for any guard. He's so problematic. Ricky Council, who's 6'6", right? And then, of course, you have the Mitchell twins who are 6'10", 6'9.5", 6'10". Mikal, who's 242 pounds, 243 pounds. They could play with that length. And then, of course, you have Jordan Walsh, Jalen Graham, and those guys that are going to be available. We'll see about Nick Smith. I think you end up with an 8 to 9-man rotation in this game. I could see Pinion. It feels like every time I say we're going to see Pinion, we don't see Pinion. Every time I think we're going to get 10 minutes of Pinion, we don't. He might get a minute or two. No, this feels like the kind of game because they play so heavy underneath and they want to try and match up Arkansas around the post. It feels like a game that could be tailor-made to knock down some threes. I feel like this should be a game where maybe they're going to figure it out simply because of their length and athleticism. You know, they're going to find a way. I'd love to see 2 or 3 corner pocket 3 balls by the pin man, by Pinion, by pinball. I don't know. Pinion. We got to come up with a nickname and nothing's sticking for Pinion. But or we just call him Pinion because that's a cool name. But Nick Smith is, again, expected to be in that rotation. So I think you're going to have an 8 to 9-man rotation. You may not see any Pinion. You may not see any of any of these other guys who we want so badly to get a few minutes. You know, I think that's probably, with Nick Smith in that rotation, you're not going to see much of anybody. But it does feel like a game that could be tailor-made. Again, looking at the poll, does Nick Smith get 15-plus minutes tomorrow versus Mississippi State? 52% of you still at just 52% of you at no. Again, this is a little bit surprising. I thought it would be like 80% of you at no because I think they're going to be well under. I think he's going to be at, again, and maybe the case I'm making for him, maybe I've gotten into some of your heads just a little bit, but maybe if Nick comes off the bench and it's like he's been playing this whole time and they have instant chemistry. You know, we're at that point in the season too where you feel like throwing him in there, it might feel pushed just simply because of the turnaround we've seen from these guys in SEC play these last several games. But, I don't know. Let's see if we can get that vote. Let's see if we can get this poll above 70 votes. Again, that poll is available for you guys. Michael Kopesky says, team chemistry is everything, and Nick coming back helps. AB, he does. No, and that's a good point, Kopesky. I love seeing the good takes out of you, my man. I love seeing it. That is a very good point. He's only going to help guys like Anthony Black because he's going to take that load off of Anthony Black's shoulders. Nick Smith Jr.'s minutes will depend on his conditioning. Right. Less conditioning equals more chance for re-injury. Yeah. With how teams play against us, Mississippi State will probably have their best shooting game of the year. Does Graham hog the ball in your opinion? No. Well, it depends on the situation. I mean, does he go down the floor and not look for other options? Does he go down if he has a chance? Does he just not? But more times than not, I would argue if anyone gets a little selfish with the ball, it feels like it's probably. I think RC and Devo are both prone, but they really haven't been. I think they've done a pretty good job of being unselfish. We're seeing them move the ball a little bit, right? But going back to Anthony Black and Nick Smith, I mean, they're going to complement each other. Again, it is a chemistry thing. He just rejoined practice like last week. I mean, do they feed off each other right out the gate, or is it going to be a thing where we don't see that start to develop until well into March? I say well into March. In the SEC tournament and maybe into March Madness. I don't know. Must may leave it. This is from Kazaron. Sorry. Is that a Harry Potter name? You've been playing Harry Potter Legacy, haven't you, my friend? Laviosa. Must may leave it up to Nick. If he feels good, he will let him play more. Yeah, and that is, again, true. If he's shit in the bed, then he will limit him. Yeah, if he comes out and he tries to pull a couple of quick trigger threes and he's 0 for 2 and It could be the case. It could absolutely be the case. But thank you for the comment. I do appreciate it. Brian Frazier, who's a member here on Tuss Talk with Ty. He's a member. That's awesome. These guys are used to the zone. As of recently, they've been making teams pay for it. I still think those traps, those midcourt traps, kind of like what I love what Arkansas has done defensively lately. I love that they kind of dabble into the zone. You're seeing them trap more. Half court defense is better. Their transition defense at times looked a little slow, unenergetic against Kentucky. There were a couple times when Kentucky just walked down the floor and no one was prepared and someone got an easy two. I think that happened a few times. But for the most case, they're the way they've been trapping lately and the way they've been switching things up on defense just a little bit. You're seeing little tweaks, and again, that comes with the chemistry change. It comes with starting the Mitchell twins and kind of what you feel comfortable with your bigs and your guards. You're seeing them mix it up a little bit, right? I think it has most to do with the starting five. I think it has most to do with who's actually getting more floor time. But They are playing a little bit better. Like I think they're compared to where they were at against the zone versus where they're at now. They're figuring out and maybe that's Graham. I feel like Graham has been a guy. I feel like Graham he's going right at the teeth when teams are playing you that physical and trying to play you that trying to play you around the iron and around the post the way they have. You go right into the jaws of it, man. You go into the teeth. And you go right for the chin, right? And Graham is someone who can be a mismatch at times. We've seen teams just not really know from a defensive standpoint how to deal with Graham, and you'll see him come off the bench and get a few easy buckets. Well, I say a few, get a couple easy buckets, and it forces them to kind of change what they're doing on the defensive end of the floor. Graham has been. I still struggle watching him play defense, even though I think he's playing better defense. Graham has also been a piece of this equation that has resulted in better numbers for Arkansas. He's been a part of it. He's been a part of the turnaround. He's not an elite player. He's not an all-conference guy, but he's come around a little bit on the offensive end. I still, at times, I'm kind of like, all right, let's get him off the floor. You know what I mean? There's times where, yeah, for sure. But then he'll also have, 12 minutes in a game where you feel like 6 of those minutes were just great. It was great energy. It was great effort. It was great play, and he figured something out either on the offensive or defensive end of the floor. He's not consistent, but when he's at his best, you only benefit from Graham when he's at his best, and the chemistry on the floor benefits from him when he's at his best. No, I've had that tag since 2004 in my World of Warcraft days. I love it. Love me some OG World of Warcraft, baby. Kazaron, yeah. Hey, I was close. I was at Harry Potter. I'm sure Nick has been playing ball even when he's not in a hog uni. Sure, but there's also a difference between shooting, kind of light shooting, and actually working with the team, right? Running up and down the floor in practice. There's a big difference. Walsh has been on a year recently. You mean a tear? You're seeing him come off the bench. What was that, Kentucky? No. South Carolina, when he came off the bench and within like 3 minutes he had 4 rebounds, a couple of points. Got a foul, if I recall, pretty quick. That's just standard Walsh, though. But yeah, Walsh. Yeah, I mean, you are seeing. We can't just comment about. It's like everyone who's played on the floor lately, everyone who's getting solid minutes, they're playing better. And yeah, Walsh has been a piece of that. Walsh has come off the bench and gotten you some production. He's picked up. Maybe it was Kentucky. He had 14 points. Was that Kentucky? Why do I feel like that game feels like so long ago? I didn't sleep that Saturday night, by the way. I didn't sleep at all. I couldn't sleep. I was up pretty late. My wife was not thrilled. Hey, we're at 69 votes on the poll. Does Nick Smith get 15-plus minutes tomorrow versus Mississippi State? 55% of you now say no. 45%. It's still relatively close, but now the no's are starting to stack up. we hit a lot of tough shots against Kentucky. They did. They had a couple shots that you feel like wouldn't have gone in most of the time. I hope it wasn't just a flash in the pan and we continue to shoot. I don't know that you're going to shoot at that level again. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't have those numbers in front of me. What did they end up doing? Hang on. It was it 68%, 70% shooting or something? I mean, it was insane. They shot 72% in the second half. And yeah, their shots were limited in the second half because they were definitely eating up the ball. They didn't take as many shots. Sure. They were 62% from the floor. Walsh, he had 13 points, just one rebound. I mean, that was kind of his role. Sheboy was hogging everything up, and then of course the Mitchell twins were playing around the iron, and Walsh kind of, you weren't really concerned about him racking up a whole bunch of rebounds, but he did have, and his one rebound was an offensive rebound. So if you had to pick, yeah, you're good with the second chance. I'd still wonder. Some of these ESPN numbers, I thought he had at least 2, but okay. Anyways, 13 points. He's 4 for 4 from the floor, 32 of 51. That is insane shooting at home, neutral floor, on the road. Almost 63%. You were 44% outside. Now you only attempted 9, 3 of 9. Shouldn't be good enough to beat someone like Kentucky by 15 points. It shouldn't be. But then when you factor in the rest of it, right? The bench production, 15 points from your bench, couple steals, only 1 turnover from your bench. I don't know if that's – I might want to double check that. But ESPN says only 1 of the, 30-plus minutes played out of your bench, just 1 turnover. How about that, man? That's something we didn't talk enough about. I did not. We were having so many issues with ESPN stat sheet in the postgame. I typically look at either that stat sheet or look at Arkansas Razorbacks, the official stat board. But, 13 points out of Walsh, right? Devo with 15, Council with 20, Anthony Black with 19, and McHale had 15 points. Oh, along with 5 freaking rebounds. Mackay ended up with 9 rebounds, 4 points. It's just like everyone that's getting minutes, they're playing better. They ended up with a 9-man rotation against Kentucky. Graham, Ford, no, that can't be right. Ford didn't get him. Ford didn't play. It was Graham, Walsh, and see what I mean? I need to just stop. I like ESPN because it's nice and clean. It's easy to look at. You don't have to go too far around. I know my way around ESPN stat sheets, but then they do shit like this. 0 minutes played, so then he didn't play. But you ended up with an 8-man rotation. See, we had that same problem after the game. But, you had 8 players. Pinion did get a few minutes, but registered no stats at all in 4 minutes other than time played on the floor. But Walsh ended up with 22, and Graham ended up with 7 minutes. So, yeah. We're seeing them turn it around, but then you look at that, and this is where that flash in the pan comment, like, okay, they're look, it's not like they played great against a really bad South Carolina team. Not to be the cinder block here, but I mean they did. It was the exact. It was not good. 69% at the free throw line, 26% outside shooting, 4 of 15, right, and 47%. You're going to take that. That's not bad, and you did get 20 points off your bench, but. They just didn't come through in clutch moments until the very end of the game. They gave up it felt like Arkansas, you never felt like they were going to lose that game, but then you got inside that 5 minutes of play in South Carolina, all of a sudden things got more interesting than they should have. And Arkansas just couldn't put them away. It took, with a big point spread, with a big lead, and South Carolina was able to, make it a game. They only ended up losing this game at home by 2 points. Arkansas did not play very well, and that's why going into that Kentucky game, I just wasn't sure. And I said Arkansas was somewhere between average and good. They're somewhere between average and good, and that could still be the case, but they did. They beat the hell out of a pretty good, I would say, a decent Kentucky team. You got to be careful. You got to be careful what you say about some of these teams because. There's still a lot of season left, right? I mean, Arkansas has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. Right now, according to Joe Lenardi, he has them up to an 8 seed, which would be matched up in the East in Birmingham against West Virginia, who's a 9 seed. That's a tricky area to be in an 8 seed. That's tough. 8 seed's tough. But with these games left, if we are seeing a more consistent pattern, if we are seeing an upward trajectory, and now you have Nick Smith back in the picture, hopefully he's full-time before you go. Well, I mean, you'd love him before you go to A&M. I think Arkansas is a matchup problem for A&M too, though. I said a while back I like Arkansas to sweep A&M. I'm sticking to that. I've been saying that. Anyone who's been here long enough, I've been saying that since even back when they were starting to kind of turn things around. I felt like they're just a matchup problem for Texas A&M. But you'd love to have Nick Smith full go for that game, and that's on the 15th. That's right after Mississippi State. So unfortunately, that's a 8 p.m. tip-off too. 5 p.m. against Mississippi State. Can't lose any games at home still, but they are. I mean, 8. You feel pretty good. I mean, you're almost mid-February, and according to Lenardi, you're in the top 10 as far as seeding. So yeah, I at the moment, yeah, they're in. We'll see if they can continue to play at this level. It certainly feels like a flip has been switched for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Sup, Ty? Hey, what's up, Hog Dog? How you doing, bro? I thought the Mitchells and Kamani would all foul out. Boy, was I wrong. Oscar looks like a totally different player. Yeah, I agree. He's not. I don't know. It sucks for them, but good for us, right? Kentucky was on a 6-game. Yeah, they're not terrible. I definitely don't believe they're terrible. No, they're still. Kentucky is still 7-4 in conference, 16-8, but they are battling. Like they're kind of in. To them, they're in panic mode. If you read what they're saying on social media, and of course they are, they just got blown up by Arkansas at home, and they were without Wheeler. I mean, that is important to say. They are without Wheeler on the floor. I don't know if he's back for them or not, but Arkansas is going to get an opportunity to sweep Kentucky. If you could sweep Kentucky, you should sweep A&M, but A&M, not a bad team. I mean, I've had people. Of course, he's not here, and he hasn't been here since A&M beat Auburn. But imagine that, right? Now, when A&M loses, that individual will be right back in here telling me how I'm wrong. See how that works? Isn't that funny? But A&M right now is 9-2, 17-7. I just think they're a matchup issue. I think Arkansas is just a matchup issue for A&M. I think they could sweep both Kentucky and A&M. Boy, that's going to be nice to have on your resume. At Tennessee is still tough. I think that's the best defensive team in college basketball. We'll see what they do. Got to close the year out strong, though, and they're off to a good start. That's for sure. I'm listening to you, Ty. I used to be a regular, can't nowadays, just with the Rams helmet. Well, it's still there. What, you don't like it? So you stopped listening because I'm a Ram fan? Oh, what are you, a 49er fan? I don't think we see Nick Smith Jr. at his full playing time till end of February, maybe even SEC. Yeah, and that could be the case. Yeah, I agree. Yo, Ty, I agree. Arkansas beats A&M, but did you see the refs did for A&M with Auburn? I didn't watch that whole game. There might have been some. Of course, there's always something when the SEC's involved. But I think A&M's a good basketball team. I do. Their problem is I think their strength of schedule is still not great, and they're kind of playing makeup for that at the moment. But I would say at the moment I would put them in. They're on a 2-game win streak, and until Arkansas, they've won 4 of their last 5 in SEC play. Arkansas beat them at home, but listen, A&M swept Auburn. Okay, they beat Auburn twice. They beat Florida, who's salty. They beat the living hell out of Missouri at home. They beat them by 20 points, or 18 points. I mean, they beat Vandy, and you see how salty Vandy is. Like I think A&M. I've got them in. They've got LSU tomorrow, at 7:30 that might be worth watching. I mean, LSU's not good, but they are at home. And LSU, you never know what you're doing when you're going on the road. When you're going down to Baton Rouge, you just don't know what you're in for, even though their fans probably aren't going to really be there. But LSU's up. They're capable of upsetting. They're capable of upsetting teams. They're not a good team. They're probably the worst team in the SEC between them and South Carolina or Ole Miss. But yeah, I see A&M. If we're talking about A&M for a second, I see them beating LSU, losing to Arkansas at home. I don't know about Mizzou on the road. We all know Mizzou is so hard to beat on the road. They might drop that one. They got Tennessee at home on the 21st. That'll be a fascinating game. I would say right now I'd probably give A&M the loss there. At Mississippi State, they'll win that. At Ole Miss, they'll win that. And they close the year out at home against Alabama. So they've got the opportunity here to win one. I think they can win 3 of these last few games. That would put them right at about 20 wins. So they're going to need some help in the SEC tournament. Or they might get an upset somewhere. They might get an upset. Hell, they might split Arkansas. They might beat Arkansas. I don't know. Again, I think they're a pretty good basketball team. No, that's not what I was saying, Ty. Oh, I'm a Ram fan. Your mic covers the helmet on our screen. Sorry. Oh. Yeah, it just kind of – it's so difficult to get this thing just right, No, we're not cursed, and Nick will bury our bad luck. Hate it for Wiggins. Oh, okay. You're talking to Hog Dog. Hate it for Wiggins. What luck. We lose starters on football. Well, I mean, that's just part of sports, though. I mean, it is. It sucks. It sucks that you lose your best defensive player. You lose Catalan. Yeah, that sucks. Nick Smith, probably your best player on this team at full strength, right? I mean, it might be a little bit. I mean, he's your best player, right? I mean, he's top 5, top 3 draft pick. He's a for sure lottery pick. And now you lose Wiggins. Like, I don't know. I don't think they're cursed. I mean, my God, you still, last year you lost your starting pitcher and you still made the College World Series. You still won 7 games in football, right? I think, and with Dave Van Horn at the helm, yeah, it sucks. It's a blow. But with Dave Van Horn, man, you guys say all the time, I trust in Pittman. I trust in Dave Van Horn. I mean, he's got the resume. He's got the track record. He's had to overcome stuff like this before, and he has. So I will say this. I think KJ Jefferson needs a full security detail. Let's wrap him up in an iron suit, okay? And Rocket Sanders, while we're at it, in spring football, you're just going to roll them out. They're just going to be in an iron cast suit. You're going to make sure on and off the field. I'm not just talking about on the field. He's going to be wrapped up. They're going to have to use like a forklift, and they're going to use that forklift. And not only that, he's going to be wrapped in like, I don't know. We'll have like a tube to feed KJ and Rocket. Rocket will be on the other. He'll be in the other cast iron suit. You'll have like a tube, and you'll have like a place to use the restroom. But we're not going to let him. We just can't let these guys. Can't let anything happen to him. Okay. At least get them full security detail. All right. Give them Secret Service. I will say that. Avoid any Indian burial grounds. Okay. Trail of Tears does run right through Fayetteville, Arkansas, right next to the university. So let's just make sure that we take care of our guys. Bubble wrap KJ. I'm telling you, bro, like take care of him. Don't let him or Rocket. Oh man. Yeah, I get it. You think it's just cursed. I understand it. But yeah, he'll be in bubble wrap. Yeah, they're going to bubble wrap these guys. Sorry, fellas. Oh man, I got A&M and Bama in the end. What do you mean you got Alabama? And what do you mean? Oh, Alabama beating Bama in the end. Oh, Gary, wouldn't that be great? Is that a your profile picture? That's Gumball. My kids watch Gumball. That show's pretty funny. Gumball's. I'll sit and watch. Gumball with my kids. The Dungeons and Dragons episode. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's good. It's good. It's a good episode. That's one of the best. That's good TV for kids, man. I'm sorry, Jamie. I'm sorry I don't have that Ram helmet. I want a big one. They're just so expensive. And what I would do is I'd have to widen the screenshot. Well, hopefully by the time I get my Ram helmet, I'll be in the studio by then. So, all right. I'm glad. Hey, look, we had a lot to cover. I know people complain about the format of this show. They think they're going to come in and it's going to be like Trey Biddy where it's just bing, bang, boom. No, we have fun here. I carry on. We have fun with the chat. I kind of feel like it's community involvement with everybody, and you guys are a part of the show. And I treat this more like an hour and a half radio show. We just kind of sit back, we have fun, we throw in some Razorback stuff as much as we can. We cover try to cover all the latest news. And I do appreciate you guys. A lot of you that are regulars know what this show is. I do appreciate you. The ads do pop up now from time to time. That's just the way YouTube. That's just the way the ad revenue works now. So I do apologize for that. You got to sit through a couple of these ads, but I try to play some where I can. Flamingo Friday, yeah, baby. Hey, I've got the drip. I've got the Flamingo Friday drip, baby. That's right. That damn pop foul in 2018 never happens, and Hogs win, then we ain't even talking curse. To be fair, at least that didn't happen. I was going to say it didn't happen on campus, right? Isn't that how Indian burial ground curses work? You got to be on camp. But it happened in a worse location, in the worst possible time. 9 times out of 10, Hogs catch that ball. 110%, bro. I agree. Yeah, I agree. If we beat Bama, Ty shaves his face? No. I did trim the beard up, though, a little bit. I did. Ty. What's up, Blue Kicks? How you doing, man? Was that Mel Kiper? Todd. All right, that is it. I do appreciate you guys. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Hope you guys had a great week, and I hope you have an even better week in Arkansas. It's going to be fun to watch what they do tomorrow. No matter what happens, whether Nick plays or not, what matters is they get the dub. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a pretty tough matchup, but I think Arkansas, they're going to find a way. Mississippi State, again, not a good offensive basketball team, but they're going to try and play you. They're going to try and match up around the post, around the iron. It's just for that reason. Graham and the Mitchell twins, and it's going to be fun. Let's see what our poll ended up at. Does Nick Smith get 15-plus minutes tomorrow? We got 89 votes. Only 53% of you say no. So some of you do feel like, yeah, he's going to get more time tomorrow. Okay. All right, so maybe it wasn't a bad poll after all. There you go. 89 votes, 53% of you say no on the 15-plus minutes. But 47% of you say yes. So we're going to end that poll right there. Are we going to get 90 votes? 3, 2, 1. Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I will be live for the postgame. It'll be fun regardless, but hopefully it's funner with a Razorback win. It's a big game. Obviously, you cannot lose any game at home. It's going to put you in a tough situation. Yeah, the Kentucky win was great, but, boy, that can get erased pretty quickly if you lose to someone like Mississippi State at home. So, yeah, they're going to find a way. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. I am taking the Hogs. Ooh. They don't give up 70 often. What do you guys think? I'm thinking I think it might be a low. I'm going to say 66. I'm going to say 66 58. 66-58. That's my official score. Arkansas with the win. All right. 66-58. I'll have to write that down somewhere so I remember. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow night. Woo pig.